purpose of this video is to kind of go over the inspection process when we're picking up at customers' residence and or a terminal for privately owned vehicles. So in this particular instance, we would want to be very thorough and make sure we're there, that we take care of all the requirements of the inspection during this process. So how we're going to begin this process is to make sure that we do indeed have the correct vehicle. And how we would do that is to verify via the VIN identification plate, which is on the dashboard here on the lower side of the windshield. We would want to verify that the numbers indeed did match the information that we were supplied either via the mobile application on our phone or whether that be in a document form. We would want to verify that these numbers did indeed match and we were getting the correct car. From that point, we would probably just go ahead and move towards the interior of the car and verify a couple of other pieces of information. So keeping in mind that this vehicle is owned by somebody, that we would want to verify that we are picking up this vehicle with X amount of mileage on it. So we would go ahead and take the steps to get the mileage recorded. So in this instance, this vehicle pops the mileage. You can see on the dashboard that it's already showing 355 miles. We don't necessarily need to start the car to get that information. But in this instance, we're going to go ahead and crank the car up. We're going to make sure that the car does indeed start. We would also want to verify that the car will move under its own power. So we'll just go ahead and reverse, make sure that it will go back. We'll go ahead and hit forward, make sure that it will go forward. So that pretty much does verify that the car will move under its own power, and then we would make the assumption that it would get on the truck. We'll go ahead and look over the interior of the vehicle at this moment in time for the things that we could see. Want to verify that, we're in any ripped item, the dashboard's not necessarily ripped up, the headliner's not hanging down, we don't see any stains on the seat or other things. And we would also want to verify that the individual's personal belongings were not left inside the vehicle. It's the customer's responsibility to remove all those items. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pick up here. We're going to open the rear door and we're going to verify. Now, for the purpose of this video, we actually have a suitcase in here, which we would not want to have in here. So we would want to inform the customer if we were at their house and or the terminal if we were present there that we would need to do something with this particular item. But for now, we'll ignore that. We'll just pretend that it's not inside, and we would verify that the seats are not ripped. We don't see any huge grease stain or something of that nature where the customer may make the claim that you got into the vehicle dirty or something of that nature. So it's in your best interest to give the interior a once over. Okay, so now we would just go ahead and start with the outside of the vehicle. We would want to verify numerous items, right? We'll look down the side of the vehicle. We would probably take a couple of different angles on the vehicle to make sure, depending on how the sunlight is, that we would be able to see door dings, scratches, or other things. Pay particular attention to the seams on the doors and other places where they may have impacted items, other cars in parking lots and things of that nature. This car, again, is 355 miles, so we're not probably going to find a lot of those items. So we go ahead and take the trim. We'd look down in the lower end, the rocker panels. You'd want to be very thorough with that. These are typical areas where you'd see more damage on a vehicle from normal wear and tear. However, keeping in mind that the customer's not going to see this car for a few days, they may not remember that some of these items are present. So we would want to mark all those occurrences. Here we see the door edges are pretty clean. We would go ahead and verify here that this roof rail is indeed secure and that we wouldn't have to worry about that coming off during transport. We don't see any items here that really draw any attention to. The glass is present in the mirror. We want to make sure that that was there. The outside of the mirror seems to be in pretty good shape. And again, just continuing to look over all facets, all areas on the car. Now, if we get up here, we see the windshield. It's got a tiny little chip, not very big. We know this is a wear and tear item, but however, a customer may not know that it's present. It's probably in your best interest to go ahead and make that adjustment. Continue on with our inspection. So we look at the hood, we check the headlights, do we have any cracks? Most of these newer vehicles now have plastic covers over the headlights. We want to verify that those, were intact. We don't see anything loose here. We'd want to check the balance, make sure the balance was indeed secure. We don't see any reason why it would come off during. We would maybe also want to rub our hand down here and see if there's any significant gouging or scratching. We see people hit curbs and other things. We've got one present here inside the parking lot where, you know, if we pulled up too close, we might actually make contact. So we would want to make sure that that wasn't present there. If that turned out to be the case, we'd want to mark our paperwork accordingly. Here on the front of the vehicle, we're checking the grille to make sure that it's secure. Everything appears to be that way. And we'll continue to move around the vehicle. So we're just checking all parts of it. We look at the other headlight here. We see that we're good there. We also see that the trim and everything else is intact. And this is a pretty easy inspection. It's a new vehicle, but you know, most customers do take care of their cars, so we'll probably find a lot of instances where we won't find a lot of damage unless it's an older model. Check the rims, make sure that they're not scuffing the rims. It's typical for people to scuff the rims, you know, after they've had a few miles on the car, parking it or doing other things. So we want to verify that there were no cuts or scratches on the rim that they're not aware of. Typically a customer will overlook some of these items because it's not something that they're going to look at all the time. Again, checking the mirror here, the outside of the cover of the mirror, the same scenario, the same criteria, you know, is the glass present? Yes, it is. We would probably fold these in during transport as well. And we would be careful with that, whether we do it from whether we do it from a button inside some of the newer models, or whether that's a manual process from the outside. Check the door handles, everything seems to be intact here. Again, we're going to check this other roof rack, make sure that it is secure and that it won't separate from the vehicle during transport. We could go ahead and open this back door here while we're standing here and just verify that indeed there was no other issues that we didn't spot the first time, just to be more thorough with our inspection. And again, just following around the vehicle. Typically, you know, you do it once over. You look at the vehicle from different angles because the sunlight is going to present different opportunities to identify damage depending on the angle that you're looking at. So we go ahead and look down the side of the car. Typically what we're looking for in this instance is door dings or other things from parking in the parking lot. You know, people getting too close and hitting our door, things of that nature. We'd follow around to the back of the vehicle. We want to check the wiper, you know, make sure that that's not going anywhere, seems to be secure. We'd probably go ahead and check any items that you think could possibly separate from the vehicle during transportation. This all, you know, pretty good right here. Following along with the back, we'd want to check the rear, make sure that we don't see any visible signs of damage. We would also possibly look at the exhaust tip to make sure that it hadn't made contact with anything, wasn't bent or disfigured in any way. You know, and none of those conditions are present as we see today. This car is pretty clean. So again, just following along, finishing up. We'll look at the taillight lenses, we'll look at the parking lights, you know, just tap on these things, make sure that they are secure. It's in your best interest to do a very thorough inspection. This is the one time that you have the opportunity to present all this information to the client and that they can verify these conditions exist. So when you arrive at their house, there's no discrepancies later down the road when somebody else takes possession of the vehicle, that it indeed is in the condition that you described. So we'll just finish up by looking down this side again. We'll check this rear rim. We don't see any visible signs of wear and tear. And as these conditions, you know, as we do find them, if they do exist, you would mark them on your bill of lading if that turns out to be the case, if you're using paperwork, and or you could use the mobile application to take photographs of any conditions that exist that you're concerned with. We'd also, one more thing, we want to go ahead and overlook the roof. I have a perspective, I'm a little taller, I can see. There may be instances where you want to step up on the tire, take a good look at this roof to make sure that there are no damages, no scratches or other things from car washes. A lot of times the client won't be aware of those conditions. They probably never looked at the roof of their car, so it's in your best interest to take a quick look at that and make sure that that's, you know, part of your thorough inspection. So as we see this vehicle in its current state is in pretty good shape. We don't really find any defects, and at that point in time we would present our document and or our mobile application to the representative for the signature to release the vehicle into our custody, and they would get a copy, and or we would prompt the mobile application to send an email so they would have a copy. I hope that was helpful. Thank you very much for watching.